Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
There.
Hey everybody, we're live. It's another Wicked Horror Show. It's Tuesday night. Proud members of the Dorkening Podcast Network and Dead of Winter Entertainment. As always, well, not as always, but as most of the time, I'm joined by Tony has 9 fingers.
What is going on, people?
Tony, do you want to introduce our very special guest?
I will. We have Michael Fischer on from the director of Up on the Housetop, which is a short film that you could watch on YouTube now. What's going on?
What's up, guys?
How are you?
Welcome
I'm
to the
good.
show.
How are you?
Good.
And we also we talked a little bit beforehand, and you're a drummer and a metal hardcore musician, so I'm sure we'll talk a bit about that. And obviously a filmmaker, actor, director, writer, everything, right?
I try at least in all.
Yeah,
of them.
yeah.
I do what I can.
Yeah. How long have you been at it?
Oh, dude. I mean, at which one? You know, music. I've been at since I started drumming when I was in the 6th grade, and still haven't learned a lot. But I try.
Well,
got a double pedal.
I started when I was in the 6th grade as well. Yeah. And I started on the upright, and I learned a lot of theory and stuff like that, and then quickly chose to ignore that theory and figured, hey, whatever feels right is what's right. And I have friends that stuck with theory, went to like their teachers and stuff now, and they're like, no, you're right. What feels right is right.
Yeah,
Hear is
no,
one thing, but feel is another thing, you know?
absolutely. Yeah, no, I never learned. I was in percussion for a while, and I realized I don't know how to read this music.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I got out of there as fast as I could and just started banging the shit out of the drums.
Yeah.
And I'm not great or anything, but I can keep a beat. I can stay in the pocket,
Yeah.
which is what matters, right?
That is what matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how about the film world? How
The
long have you
film
been?
world.
Yeah. How long have you been active?
So I started acting at the age of, I'd say 18 is when I really got into it. I was in like some school plays, but I really didn't like that either. Like the whole like stage wasn't calling my name for that. And but I enjoyed movies, my whole life. And my mom really noticed that. And so as soon as I graduated, she was like, "Hey, I got you some classes. I've already paid for them. You're going." And so I was like, "Bet." And that was when I was like 18, super nervous, and then just got into it,
Nice. That's cool.
And now I'm 32 years old. So
Ooh.
whatever that math is.
But that's the thing.
much?
Like sometimes people like, I want to get into it, but I don't know what everybody's going to think about it. It's like your mom knew it, and she's like, "Here, go at it." It's
She knew that I enjoyed. I was a very hyper kid, and it hasn't really changed much. And I was I'd probably say the most outgoing kid in my class. I just never really cared what people thought, and I wasn't. Though I was really into like niche things, I wasn't bullied too much. People enjoyed my presence at least a little bit, and at least enough to not bully me. And I think my mom kind of just saw something in me that was like, "Hey, this kid, he at least can at least get people to like him in school. People might as well like him outside of that as well." And so, so she kind of like threw me out and just do what you got to do. I know you want this, just go do it. And so I did it. And
That's cool.
I'm still trying my best. My mom's a big supporter of me.
That's awesome. It's good to have supportive family.
My dad is too. My dad is he's the more of the musical side, but he supports every endeavor that I take.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Nowadays, though, music and movies are like one and the same. It's like you need one. I mean, you can have music without movies, but a lot of the times, movies, the music sometimes make the movies as well. So it's like it's one and the same. So.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there's. I mean, I don't know about if Tony's in the same boat, but like there's been a lot of times there's music that I can think of like that I've known for years that I'm like, all right, this song belongs in like a scene where this
absolutely.
is happening. Yeah, there's a Secret Chiefs 3 song that belongs in a 70s cop drama.
I love that. Yeah, no, there's this really, I don't even know how to explain it. There's this singer, she goes by Midwife, and she does this cover of Send the Pain Below by Chevelle that I absolutely have to put in a movie one day. Absolutely. It's super somber and sad the way she does it. And she like sings through a telephone, like an old house phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gives this real weird, eerie sound. And the moment I heard that song, it's like, I got to put that into something I do one of these days.
So is it one of those things you heard the song? Did you have like a scene in your mind? You're like, heard the song and you're like...
Yeah, absolutely right away. But I already had this film that I wanted to do. And I didn't really have an idea of how I wanted it to be like with like music. I didn't understand the emotions that I wanted. I knew the emotions that were playing out on screen, but music adds so much. And I had this, and the moment I heard that song, it was like, that's the exact emotion that I'm looking for, is right there. Dark, moody, but super sad. Awesome.
Nice. Just real quick, Sergio's in the chat saying, "What's up? What's up, Serge?" So was there a particular movie that has inspired you the most?
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's The Evil Dead 1981 is the greatest movie ever made.
Okay. What's on your TV stand right now? I see something back there.
Oh, the Sasquatch Gang?
Oh, the Sasquatch Gang. Okay.
Justin Long, right?
Yeah, Justin Long. He's like a white trash dude with a mullet.
Yeah, that is not in my collection actually.
I
One day
absolutely
I'll
love
own
that
it.
movie. To me, now I do love Napoleon Dynamite, but that movie
Mm.
right there is the better version, if you ask me. Because that has
I,
Justin Long in it, and I love Justin
uh,
Long so much.
I think I may have heard of it.
It's whack.
That's
It's
about it.
wackadoodle.
I saw the blue sky and I was like, is that like I'm like it looks like Freaked, but it's not Freaked.
Oh, I do have Freaked.
Yeah, well, because Freaked is great.
It's fantastic. I love that movie so much.
talk about movies that are like all over the place, and like I remember you mentioned it, and actually I have to thank you, Kevin, because you mentioned it. I remember watching it when I was younger, and then I went and I picked up the Blu-ray right before it went out of print. And now, as a collector, it's one of those things where it's like the holy grail for my collection. So
Really?
you talking about it just at that time was almost like before Dead Alive went out of print, and I got that for like $15, and now that one, being a collector, it's like, oh, the holy grail type deal. So
I love Dead Alive, dude.
Yep.
All
Both
of Peter Jackson's early stuff.
Dead Alive and Freak, they're both, in my opinion, two of the most quotable movies in general. Like, I don't know, like Styrofoam Cup from Freaked. That's my favorite quote.
Dude, the scene where they're vomiting.
Yeah.
Just, dude.
It's like back and forth.
Yes, it's so funny.
I got to meet Megan Ward, who was the girl of the duo.
Oh.
I got to meet her because she did a lot of full moon stuff.
Did she?
And I got to meet her with Charles Band at a convention out in Jersey. And I was just like, I had a huge crush on you because of Freaked. Like, in my mind, I'm just like, I'm going to shut my mouth because I'm going to totally incriminate myself. Like,
that's actually pretty fun. I got to meet Charles Band, and oh gosh, her name was why am I blanking on it now? Robin. I think they're married now. She was the lead in Ginger Dead Man. Well, I got to meet both of them, and I had a crush on her earlier in life, so it's actually pretty funny.
It's just that, it's weird. It's weird because I was just like, oh my god, that's Megan Ward. I'm like, oh my god, there's Charles Band. And I'm like, oh my god, we're talking to both of them. And like, I was with another friend named Tony that bought a like the busts of Head of the Family. So it was like the husband and wife, and I think it was either the first busts that were made or sold or the last ones that were sold. I forget which one it was, but Charles wanted to get it on camera. So it's like me and Mr. Tony of the Dead, and like I thought it would be funny for us to be holding hands. So I was holding his hand, and
that is funny.
Yeah. And me, him, and Megan Ward and Charles Bannon were just like, oh hey, yeah, whatever. I was almost 400 pounds at that point too. I was a larger boy back then. I was a big lad, but one thing when you logged off to log back in, Tony's Michael said that he's been a fan of yours for a bit.
Absolutely. Tony, I started watching Tony around the same exact time I started watching like Mood 616, Ate the Chosen One, like all that stuff.
Yeah, that was back in YouTube days where, I mean, it was one of those things where the only reason I didn't like YouTube is it took so long because I never had like the highest of quality like laptops or whatever. So it would take me like an hour to upload like a 15-minute video. And it's just like, I don't mind doing it. I love doing it, but it's just like one of those things where it's like, it just took so long to do it.
Absolutely.
But that was, it was a thing that I enjoyed.
But you had a fan, and I was one of them.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, dude. I would watch you all the time. Anytime I had like a movie that I wanted to watch, like that was like super low budget, I just knew the people to go to, and you were one of them. So,
well, that's because too, like some of especially on YouTube, some of the people were, bigger names, so they were getting all this like the new releases, so they would just get it straight from the studio. Me, everything that's in here except for maybe like a few, I bought with my own money.
Absolutely.
And just like growing up with it, it's like, okay, this is the one I'm going to get. And they're like, what the hell is this movie? I'm like, you never heard of it before?
Yeah.
And it's like, It's like, yeah, this is not your mainstream stuff. Like, that's when I
Absolutely.
started, especially doing the podcast. Like, how many years we've been doing it now? Like 10 years. What's up?
Yeah,
There's
13th
another.
Wolfman. Yeah.
Hey, wait, that's the Wolf Man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
13th
13
I used to watch
Wolfman.
him too.
Yeah,
He was
he was part of the show. I mean, he's always welcome. Like, he's still in our chat and everything like that. But yeah, he was part of the Wicked Horror Show for years. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I would watch
he's
him.
the man.
He would come in and he would like, bah,
Yeah.
I loved it. It was so much fun.
See, Wolfie, you have a fan too.
It's me,
Yeah, it's this guy.
Michael Fisher.
Yeah,
So on.
yeah. No,
And
it's,
many others for sure.
So yeah, it was like I said, YouTube, and then it just evolved into Instagram, and then I finally hit TikTok, where I, saw your stuff, and then just a community in TikTok is like,
It is. It's a wild community.
I'm gonna miss it if it does go away. But like I said, it opened so many doors, found so many people, and
there's going to be something else. There's going to be something else that's going to follow suit, and everything will be fine.
But it brought me to, which we should at some point in time in this podcast talk about, is Up on the Housetop, talking about the movie that you
I've heard of it.
How the one thing I must ask, because especially with like indie film, people don't realize what goes into it. Before I started doing the podcast, I didn't even know what went into it. I used to look at things and be like, it wasn't the greatest, and then have my own opinion until you learn everything that goes behind it. Like, in that, you had many, many, many different hats. So was it difficult, like, being the writer, director, acting in it, to like take off each one and then like work differently, or like as you're like acting, you're like, I can do it better, this thing should change? Like, how did that work?
Yes and no. So I had another director with me. It was Dakota Millett. He's the other director of the film. So that really helped, having two people there. Now, we both starred in it as well. We really did that. There was a reason why we did that, real quick, was because we met on a different film called Butcher's Bluff, which is a slasher film that should be coming out pretty soon, that we shot years back, way before that. And he and I became real close friends on that, and we decided to do this. And there's a fun story behind that as well. And then we met the two girls also on the same film. So from there, we all decided, like, this is what we're going to do. And it was supposed to be some tiny, like, we made a fake movie trailer just for fun. And from there, people said, we want to see this. So we were like, because they saw all four of us in it, we decided we're going to keep the same cast. So like, that's why I acted in it and directed and wrote along with Dakota. Like, that's the reason we did that. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely difficult because like, you do kind of like get in this mindset of like, okay, I'm this character right now, right? And then you hear cut, and you had to go check everything, and you just completely judge yourself the entire time. You had to like let go of that a little bit. It'll let go of all that. And so there was definitely difficulties throughout, and I don't suggest anyone do it, but I would do it again.
So, yeah. So you guys are planning on making this into a feature?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so with the feature, is it going to be different casting?
Yeah. So can't really say too much about it yet when it comes to like the casting and whatnot, but I know that I'm going to be doing the same character, and Dakota is not. So Dakota will be going a little bit more behind camera.
Okay.
He will be doing, he will be playing somebody, or at least that's how it's written right now, but he will be going behind camera more and doing a little bit more of the directing. I'll still be director, but it was kind of like this on the feature where I did a lot more of the performance side of directing, where he did a lot of like the technical stuff, where it's like, hey, this is exactly what we want right here. Yeah, I did a little bit of that, and he did a little bit of the stuff I did, but that's how we worked off of each other the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great way to do it too.
Nice. So just real quick, Wolfie wanted to make sure that people know he's still doing videos. He just took some time off to heal. And Sergio is asking if we have a trailer. I wasn't able to grab the trailer, but you can watch the whole short film. The the link to the short is in the show description. So if you just go to the notes and stuff like that, you just click right on the link. It brings you right to their YouTube, and you can watch it right then and there. And it's 15 minutes long, right? Just about 15 minutes.
Just 15 minutes with the credits.
Yep, and it's a very fun little story, and it's definitely something that I could see expanded into a feature, for sure.
Oh yeah,
and I like the use of like I was curious on how you're gonna make the reindeers. Like, hey, how are they gonna do this? And I like the whole puppetry of things.
Oh yeah, the puppetry was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, no, totally.
The guy that did it, his name was Ben. He says like that's one of his favorite roles is playing Blitzen.
Oh yeah.
And so, it's hilarious that he was just like this dude that was like in a half. He basically we had this deer that was animatronic in the face. You could move it, but we had to like mess it up a little bit. It was a white-tailed deer, and the facial, its eyebrows and stuff would move, its lips and stuff, but we had to like bulk it up to make it look like a caribou reindeer.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it wouldn't work. So that's why we had to cut around a lot. But he was basically halfway into this deer having to like move it around. It was crazy, super heavy. It was like 100 pounds, and he's just like carrying it around on one arm. Dude's jacked though. He could do that.
Where do you get something like that?
We got so lucky. There was this guy. His name was Richard.
Marketplace, like just like
no. He's an actor, and his name was Richard, and he did a short film called Oh Dear, where it was about a father and a son are driving, and they hit a deer, and it's about life and death, and stuff like that. And he just so happened to know who we were, and we were like, hey, can we use that? We'll make you a producer. He was like, yeah. And so we just got super lucky that he already had one built.
And that's a beauty thing. Like, even though, there was a workaround with it, but at least there was enough in it. Because a lot of the times, too, you got lower budget films where it's like implied as opposed to like, it's like, okay, you know what's going on, but you don't see too much.
Yeah.
With this, you got enough to where it's like, I'm satisfied with it. I know what's going on. It's not like, okay, well, it's supposed to be a reindeer, hear noises, but someone's pinned up against the wall and you have no idea what the hell's going on. So
we're definitely going to shoot to show the deer a lot more in the feature, but we budget constraints.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, but it seems to be what you're working with.
Absolutely.
And you didn't overdo it in the short. And I can't imagine. I mean, even the shot that was on the roof.
Oh.
Like, I don't know how you did it, but it looked really good.
Like, dude, actually, I could tell you that one. That one's sick. We took a plate of the roof, and then we were actually kind of like in our heads trying to figure out how we can do this. And then Dakota and one of our other friends had this idea. I had nothing to do with it. They even did it by themselves. I had nothing to do with this. I was working, but they basically went into the studio, got a green screen, bought a decoy deer, took the head off of the decoy deer and like put it on a string and basically just moved its head slightly like that in front of the green screen and did it different ways and then put them up on the roof. Huh. It was genius. It was so genius.
I mean, that's the thing is I thought that they were real. So I was like, did they go to like a petting zoo that had reindeer or something? And like
those were decoy deer.
Just someone ran up behind them and put a green screen and like, all right, film these deer.
Yeah, I mean, we did it in the studio and then we just spliced them in, and the tricks, man.
Yeah, because you didn't stay on it like super long.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, all right, I'm going to start picking this apart now. Like, it was like, that looks good. Oh, they're gone. Okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was not long enough where you could sit there and start dissecting it. And like, and the story's like interesting enough where it's just like, okay, I wasn't going to like stick on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looked good. It looked good.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate that.
So how many like movies have you made? Like how many like
I haven't made a lot. That was I would say true debut. I've made stuff with my friends that I've never put out. And so I would say that was my directorial debut, truly, other than the fake movie trailer that we had all done together.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I've just seen so many movies, and I know what I want to see. So I kind of just did that.
Yeah.
And then, I don't really know a lot when it comes to the technical side, but I know what I want and I know how to articulate what I want. And the people that are there getting paid to do what they know how to do, they'll figure it out for you and they'll be happy to do that.
Yeah.
That's usually where the best horror is made too, like fans making movies. I mean, you look
Absolutely.
at like Adam Green and the Hatchet series, like some of my favorite stuff, and it's because he's been a horror fan his whole life. So it's like sometimes you get those directors that are just like, here, we got a horror movie, you want to make one? And they're like, okay, we'll make it. And then you get the other ones that are, other people that have been lifelong horror fans, and you could tell you watch it, and you're just like, this is what I've been waiting for, because, this is made by someone who actually likes the genre. Because how many times have we had like people come on and we're like, oh, how did you like horror beforehand? And they're like, no, we hated it. Now we're like actors and actresses come on and they're like, no, we hated it before, but now we like it. And then you get other people that are like, I've been watching it since I was 5 years old. And it's like, yeah,
well,
you can tell.
I'll say this. I haven't been watching it since I was 5. I was so afraid of horror films as a kid growing up. So afraid of horror films. I was probably about 13 or 14 before I really could like sit through a horror film without closing my eyes, being scared. And I blame my parents because I walked in on them watching The Exorcist at the moment she was going down the stairs.
Oh yeah,
crab walk.
Yeah, and that was just uncalled for.
That's the thing is the wolf 13th Wolfman. He's older than I am, but
young man.
His parents took him to see The Exorcist in the theater when it came out, and he was a child.
Terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
But it's their fault. They made it.
I mean, but the thing is like, though I was afraid of it, I was always interested in it. So I would, obviously the same story that I guarantee happened with y'all. Y'all would go to the movie stores and you would just look at those movie covers. And like, that's where I truly fell in love with horror, was looking at movie covers. And it changed my life going to those movie stores. And I wouldn't even rent them. I'd be too afraid to rent them. Yeah. And then I would always try. I would always try to watch them, and it just would never work. I remember my sister had a birthday party, and they rented Child's Play 2, and I just couldn't do it. Like, it was the scariest thing in the world. And then my brother had a birthday party with his entire football team, the Pee Wee football team, and my mom bought The Evil Dead from '81, and I was so scared. I was sitting right next to a window, and then the tree limb comes through the window, and I was going to die. I was for sure I was going to die watching that movie. But because of all those little things, it just kind of slowly creeped into loving it.
Yeah.
I think for me, because one of my first, like, the movie that got me into horror was Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So it had that, like, mesh of comedy and horror. Because it wasn't, I mean, then I got watching The Exorcist, which I think is still the scariest movie ever made.
I agree. I agree with that.
But it's one of those things where it's like, it was enough to, especially I think I watched it when I was like 8, 9. And then especially trying to explain it to people who never seen it before. It's like, yeah, these clowns came from outer space in a tent, and they put people in cotton candy, and the only way to kill them is to pop their nose, and people are like, the hell are you what are you talking about?
It's great. Just watch it.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's a movie. They're like, no, that's not a movie. I'm like, it's a movie. It's real. Getting into it with that, and then I refound my love of horror with Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And that brought everything back, and I'm just like, this is why I love the genre. And I'm like, now I lean towards, me and Wolfie have been always back and forth. I love horror comedies. He's like, oh, there's no such thing. It's either a comedy movie with a little bit of horror or something. But it was one of those.
Wolfman, I don't know if you're going to love my short film too much.
He'll like it. But
it's one of those things where, like, like those movies where you can just take two genres and shove them together.
Absolutely.
Is what I love. Like just because certain like bands too. When I listen to music, if you could take two separate things and shove it together, and sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you get that
Yeah.
perfect mix, it's like, oh, I never thought it would be together, but
Absolutely.
it somehow works.
It works out. Exactly. And I think that there's a lot of humor in comedy, or humor in horror already.
Yeah.
As is, and just and same vice versa. There's a lot of scary things that come with comedy. Comedy has always been from a dark place. You know what I mean? So I can get behind
and a lot of people, their natural reaction when they're scared is to try to make things funny.
Exactly. Yes.
That's my natural thing. Like if I'm like, if something is scary, I'm trying to make a joke.
Yeah, because you're trying to lighten yourself.
Trying to lighten the mood.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. It's for me it was Poltergeist, by the way, that got me. And I saw it like shortly after it came out, when it hit cable, and I had cable in my room, and I was too young to see it for sure.
I swear to God, every single movie I saw when I was a kid, I just saw parts because I was too afraid to watch them, but it was always the worst part to watch. Like, I saw Poltergeist when I was a kid, but it was just the scene when he was ripping his face in half, or all apart.
Yeah.
I saw
that and the clown. That and the clown under the bed are the worst parts of that movie.
Exactly. And then I saw the Blob remake, and all I saw was that little kid getting melted down. And then I saw an American Werewolf in London, and I saw when he's having the dream, and those like the soldiers come
Nazi
in and blast all the children.
Werewolf thing.
Yeah, and like I feel like, unless that's just the stuff that sticks in my head, but I swear to God, I always just walked in at the wrong part.
It might be.
And I used to be afraid of Mars attacks, by the way, and I was afraid of the scene when Jack Black gets blasted. That used to scare the crap out of me.
Really? Wow.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I was afraid of movies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mars attacks. Really?
I wasn't too afraid of Phantasm. I would watch that one a lot. I would watch Phantasm a lot. I love Phantasm.
I thought Phantasm was a little. I mean, just
especially
the sphere itself.
Yeah.
Right in the
that one
was the one. I don't remember which Phantasm it was, but the one where it went in the back of their head. No, it went in the mouth and came out the back of the head.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's not the first one. It's either 2, 3, or 4. It's not the fifth one for sure. I don't remember, but
I remember just being like, this is terrifying.
Yeah, Phantasm is my second favorite horror film of all time, and I was more enthralled by that one. That one was always just like this wild world that I didn't understand.
I love in the first one that he's just like willy-nilly just picking up a casket and just throwing it in there. Like, I just think it's funny. He's just
so good.
He's not even trying to act like it's heavy. He's just like, da-da-da-da. This is made out of like styrofoam, obviously.
That's the tall man.
Yeah.
You know, he's strong.
Yeah, I remember. Was it Christy Ray from Pieces of Talent? Was in an elevator with
Angus.
Angus, and she had no idea who he was. She's like, I just thought he was a really tall, nice old man. I'm like, I would have killed to meet him.
Angus Scrim is he's passed away now, and he was the one that one hurt, dude. That one and Tony Todd, man, those were tough.
So for me, Gunnar Hansen and Tony Todd were the big ones for me.
Well, Angus Scrim was a childhood, just like I would watch Phantasm so much, and so like I just grew up with that guy, and so I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre a lot because I'm from Texas, but that's another one. That was just too scary for me.
Oh, really?
As a kid, yeah, dude. When it's a big dude running after you with a chainsaw in the woods, and he's not walking, dude. Awful. So scary.
He's such a nice guy, though. Like he was.
I believe that.
Yeah, and Tony was such a sweet man too. And like the thing that, and I know it's just in my head, but the last picture I have of me and Gunnar was the last con that Gunnar did before he passed, and it was the day after I got this giant tattoo of Leatherface on my arm, and then he passed, and then I got a tattoo a Candyman tattoo on my arm. I don't know if you can really see, but it's just it's a bee with the hook for a stinger.
Yeah.
And I got this over the summer, and then Tony passed, and I'm like, I'm not getting tattoos of any horror icons that are still alive.
Yeah, just get now.
I'm
You can
getting
get the
Universal
sphere.
monsters going forward.
Yeah, you can get the sphere from Phantasm now.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Nosferatu or something, some Frankenstein stuff or whatever. And
be careful with the Nosferatu when they just made it, so some of those actors might go.
Well,
and it'll be your fault, Kevin.
It's all right. I'm okay with it. If I mean, the movie was all right. It wasn't great.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's people like the ads were like, oh, it's the scariest movie. I'm like, shut your mouth.
I think
every movie nowadays is the scariest movie ever. That's the only way they can sell movies is like the scariest movie you'll ever see in your life. It's like, come on now, like
it was one scene that I could see people being like, oh, like that's it.
I think for Up on the Housetop, whenever we make it and we do our trailer, we're gonna put not quite the scariest movie you've ever seen.
You should do like fake reviews, like this is definitely a movie. All right. The running time is this long, which technically qualifies this as a movie, or whatever. Like,
this is a good movie, but it's not as scary as. Just put.
I don't know. It's just whenever they try to, the scariest movie since the scariest movie. People, like with Terrifier, like the reason that got so big is people were actually fainting in the movie, and then it got that's scary or whatever. It's like, okay, like don't qualify or like don't put it on there.
I think it's fun. I think it's always like it kind of is like it's part of the times, you know what I mean?
Just like with TCM, like being like, oh, it was banned in all these countries.
Yeah, I love it because in the future, that's gonna be a nostalgic thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the old trailers when they would put the logo like 5 times throughout the trailer. It was just, I loved that. The old, I spit on your grave. It said I spit on your grave probably 5 times within the trailer. I spit on your grave, and it's so nostalgic to me. So I'm okay with like the scariest movie since I don't know, fucking
even go further back, like when they used to do that whole thing where like, oh, the shocker, where like it's an experience you'll never have again in a theater, and like there's like little shockers in the seats and stuff like that.
That's
like those oldie times. But so again, go check out the movie in the link in the show notes.
Yeah, dude. Up on the Housetop. It was fun, man. I loved making that.
It is.
And it was so much fun making it with my friends, dude. That was the best part.
Like, was that the progression? You're like, okay, I started acting, got that under my belt. Did you always have that? Okay, now I'm gonna take the helm on a movie and direct, or was so
acting will always be my first love. I absolutely love acting, and I don't want to stop acting. You know what I mean? But directing was always something that I wanted to do, just because I had so many. I still have so many just movies that I want to see that play out in my head, and I'm like, if I can do whatever, like put them out there. I don't even care if anyone likes them. It's something that I'll enjoy watching. Right. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, I want people to like it, because then that can help me make more of the things that I want to make. But, it's just, at the end of the day, the natural progression is to start doing what you want to do when it comes, like making what you want to make. And so, and since I love acting, I might as well put myself in there too.
Right.
Give myself roles if I can't get them.
Now, what are your thoughts? Like, I mean, a lot of people that are creative, also, you said you want, hopefully people will like your stuff. Like, do you have anything that mentally prepares you to be like, they may not like this?
Yeah, but it doesn't really hold me back from doing what I want to do. You know what I mean? Yeah, well, because it's like, well, first off, I'm not dealing with someone else's tons of money yet. So it's like, when that happens, maybe I will have to focus on that a little bit more, right? So, but right now, it's just, you do something like for weeks in your head, you're like, this is going to be great. And then when it comes down to doing it, you're like, dude, someone might not like this. Like people might not enjoy what I'm about to do. But you know, you got to take those risks. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You can't raise the nation. Not everyone's gonna like what you like.
One of the other co-hosts, Angel, and I were talking about this idea of like just a character. Be like, oh, it'd be funny if this happened to a character. And I'm like, we both thought it was hilarious. And we're like, we can never do this. It's the most offensive thing. Everyone is going to be offended if we do this.
So do it. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah, just do it.
This dude, I don't know, told me to do it, so we're going to do it. But like with me, it's like...
you know me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just I know you...
For 40 minutes.
Right. But like with Tony, I mean, I know him from the internet. I've never met Tony in person.
Yeah. We've been doing this for like 10 years, and I've never met him in real life.
Yeah.
Well, when y'all do, it's going to be nice.
I'm expecting him to be like 3'2".
No.
3'4", okay?
Oh.
Get it right.
Tony, you look pretty tall.
I'm your average height. I'm 6 foot with like shoes on. Great. Like I'm like 5'9", 5'10", like right in there. It's not
what kind of shoes are you wearing?
High heels. Okay.
Oh, okay. Stilettos.
No. Lucky you.
5'9", but
I'm
with
5'7".
Shush. I was trying to give myself some inches. Okay?
I'm like 6 feet on a good day.
I'm 5'7". I'm a tiny man.
It's not tiny.
It's not huge.
But still, Tony and I are also larger gentlemen of larger stature. So if we were 5'7", we would also be like.
So let's just say I met Mr. Tony of the Dead at one of the conventions, and he was shorter than I was. I was not expecting that. I'll tell you that much.
Really,
it's always weird when you see somebody in person. It's never.
You're like, oh my god, we finally met. So, anyways, I gotta go. Like, it's like, now what? But when I was at, like, we're talking about like being prepared for if someone doesn't like your stuff. Whenever I would give anyone CDs or whatever, friends, family, whatever, I'm like, you're not gonna like this.
But here you go.
And so, and then I'm like, if they do like it, then that's awesome. If they don't
I've met people that say that The Exorcist and Jaws suck. You know what I mean? Like,
those people are wrong.
They're wrong if you ask me. But the thing is, it's like, of course, something you make, there's going to be people that hate it.
Right.
And I've already dealt with that. Like,
and ask them what their favorite movie is, and they're probably going to be like Fast and Furious 4.
But even if not, like, I mean, because like, in the horror genre, there's been a lot of people that have watched Up on the Housetop, and they're fans of, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. They're not going to enjoy my film if that's like their bread and butter and that's all they care about is stuff like that. So, and I love that movie, but like some people just don't.
Well, if someone's into that movie, then you would hope that they'd be open to like other stuff.
I mean, I'm sure they're open to it, but then they see it and they're like, "Oh, this is just like a popcorn flick." A lot of those people don't like it, and some of them do. But the thing is, it's like it's not going to bother me if they don't, right? Because it's like, what am I supposed to do? I can't please you.
Well, just like everything, every walk of life, whether it's music or whatever, they always have the gatekeepers where it's like it has to be this, and this, and that's it. It's like, come on now, like then your mind doesn't open too much. It's like I could look at a movie and I might not like it, but I can give it its props where it's like,
absolutely,
it's not my genre. It wasn't me, but I can see why people like it. Then
I'll get you next time, dude. I'll try to make something for you next time, bro. Like,
exactly.
I'll make it specifically for you. Yeah. This one's for Tony.
Here, could you write the script down for me exactly how you want it? And
I'll try to do that for you.
I'll film the movie that you exactly want. So you write that script first, and then I'll make the movie for you.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I want people to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's weird because like I kind of like I don't really dislike a lot of movies. There's things that I don't want to watch again. There's things that didn't like it didn't stir my chili. But for the most part, I try to find the positives in films. And
I'm the same way. There's the fact that a film was successfully made is a positive. In my eyes, exactly. That's something that is not easy to do.
Absolutely. And there are some that are just bottom of the barrel not good. And like there's some directors out there that I don't 100%. I respect them in certain ways, but not in other ways. Like they're still working. They're still doing their thing, and sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. But they're still making movies. Sometimes I don't agree with their tactics. Make 100 movies and make this much money off of them, and make 100 more small budget films, so that way we can make more $100. Like hundreds of dollars. Whatever, do your thing. I might not like that they don't give a shit about what they're putting out there, but they're still working. And, as long as they're making a living doing what they enjoy doing, have fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Because how many times, being on the podcast, like I said before, I had a different vision of movies before I knew what, just hearing some of the horror stories that goes on between, especially like indie film, like what I thought I knew, I had no clue, no nothing.
Yeah.
How many? The movie got kidnapped or like stolen from one of the editors, and then they had to redo the whole thing. And it's just like then you have a smaller budget, you have a certain amount of time. You get these big budget movies that are taping for months at end. You get these indie films that are like 4 days, 5 days, something like that. One of the days rains, and the place that you shot, and it's just like my eyes look at movies completely different.
Absolutely.
And then it's just like now when I watch a movie, if it's bad, I can you look at it and you're like, what did they do wrong, kind of deal. But then you get other ones where it's like you watch a movie and you would have never known it was made on this budget because they know what they're doing. They have we've mentioned it many a times where sometimes people have the greatest equipment and have no idea what they're doing with it. And then other people have, maybe not the greatest quality stuff, but they know exactly what to do with it. And you look at it and you're like, I would have never guessed. I thought that would have been a $500 million movie, like $1 million movie or whatever. And it was made off
even if it doesn't look,
20,000.
Even if it doesn't look like pristine and like the top notch gear, like that's used today, like you can still get like some sick shots with some old gear.
Absolutely.
And it's just like I'll watch a movie that has a $0 budget that someone just made, whatever. And like, that's a sick shot right there. Like, and that's, hopefully they learned and they're going to use that.
I just want to see,
yeah.
I just want to see a little bit of passion behind your film. And I'm going to at least care about what you're doing. That's all I need. That's all I need. And it doesn't have to be a good movie. As long as you have some sort of passion there, I'm going to support it.
Mm-hmm.
And you could definitely tell. You could tell when you watch a movie and you're like, they really put something into it. And then there's other ones where you look and you're like,
well, like that's a huge problem I think today with indie films is that you go on Tubi and there's hundreds of horror films, and I love that. That's awesome. And I love that people like horror's back, baby, especially the indie. But there's a lot of guys on there that, like I said, like they'll make a movie and they'll title it something that's gonna sell. They made the movie for $1,000, cool, whatever, that's great. But then they make 10,000 off of the name alone, and then they do it again for $1,000, and they do it again. And it's just that they don't really care about the movies they're making. They just want the cash.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a business, and that's fine. Like I said, if you're happy doing that, do it. But I'm not gonna. It shows through the screen when you do things like that. When you could care less about what you're doing, and then there's people that are there trying to like start and film, and there's people making this film that's in charge of these people that are actually trying to make it, and they don't care about what's getting put out. I don't know. It's just like the art's not real at that point.
Well, that's why we stick to indie, because a lot of the times, people are doing their vision as opposed to it's like you could have the greatest.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of indie films right now where it's just like they don't really care. And
I guess it depends on where it comes, because some of these, even some of the like the indie studios are pushing movies out like CGI written and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like the Sharknadoes and all that stuff where it's not like your high budget, but it's that indie like the lower stuff, and it's like, okay, well, the studio has a name behind it, like Octane or something like that, and you're
Yeah.
just like, these companies are pumping out movies like left and right, but then you get other people.
It's like the new, like, when I say like a title, like I mean like the amount of like Amityville movies that are out right now, right? They found this niche that's the name alone is gonna sell it. The name Amityville is gonna sell that movie because there's gonna be people, oh, Amityville, like, and I haven't even seen, because you can't see all of them now, but you watch a trailer or something, and you're like, okay, yeah, there's not a lot of, they didn't put too much care into that. You know what I mean? They didn't care too much about that. They banked on that title. And I just don't want to see indie fail because of money. But like the want for money. You know what I mean?
But then for the the left hand with that in it, you get the other side where it's like, I mean, even coming up, I mean, Terrifier is kind of paving the way, and then you got like Stream, and then we were talking, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. The first one for me wasn't what I wanted. Then the second one was supposedly, I didn't watch it yet, but everybody, like, when you hear people shit on it, and the second one they're like, it stepped up. And then movie,
I love the underdog stories, man. Absolutely.
And then this new one, we got a screener for it, the Peter Pan
Neverland Nightmare.
Yeah, Neverland Nightmares. I watched it and I'm like, I don't want to say it's night and day from the first Winnie the Pooh, but it kind of is. It is kind of night and day from the.
No, that's great, because it seems like these people had an idea and they just didn't have the budget that they needed to make a fantastic movie, but then they got that budget and they cared. I mean, they already cared, but they put it to what they needed to. They made their vision a little bit better. You know what I mean? Because they cared from the get-go. My whole problem is the ones that have never cared, and they get the money and they don't try after that.
That director said that he had made over 100 movies, and and like he's like, Winnie the Pooh took off accidentally. They weren't expecting it to take off, and all of a sudden
I have Blood and Honey. I have that.
You really? Yeah,
I have it.
He's like he's like it took off because they're like a production company like the ones that we have out here, but just over in the UK. So like they just make independent, like low, like super low budget, like $20,000, $30,000 budget movies.
Yeah.
But then this one took off and it raised enough money, was able to get them more money to make the sequel and up their game. And then that did really well to help fund the Neverland Nightmare. And then they're expanding even more because you have the
universe.
But you have the
universe,
the Pinocchio one, which has the dude from 31 in it, and that's rumored that Robert Englund is going to be part of it.
So sick.
So
then Bambi.
Yep.
Bambi one.
No, I love the passion behind stuff like that. Like, especially like Terrifier. Like, you see the passion.
Oh yeah.
You see that Damien loves horror.
Yeah.
And that's a true underdog story,
Yeah. And those dudes couldn't be any nicer. Like they're all like sweethearts.
I support it, man. There's a lot of people that down on Terrifier.
They're jealous is what it is. They're jealous.
It's big jealousy. It's big jealousy. I mean, like the movie or not, support that movie.
Totally.
Support that guy.
You cannot take away what it's done for independent horror.
Absolutely. Oh my God. It's insane. And I'm there. I'm all here for that. Like, I actually enjoy those movies as well.
So do
I. Even if I didn't, just seeing the success behind that is so cool.
Yeah.
Because now people are getting opportunities to put their movie into the theater. Beforehand, you're like, and I'm an independent director or whatever.
Believe me, we're using that in our pitch deck to get. Yeah, no, Terrifier is a huge point that we're making for this stuff that we want to for our pitch. To get the money. It's great. That's one thing though I want people to see with mine and Dakota's and and everyone that worked on this, our short film Up on the Housetop, is that I want people to see that we care about this.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it looks sick. The acting is great. The
Thank
story
you.
is really cool, and I'm excited to see what you guys can make like a feature out of it. Like I'm
dude,
excited.
we
When is that?
got a sick script.
So what's the plan? Like when is that supposed to start happening?
We're hoping for 26. We'll see. Things, but we're in the works right now. We have our producer Laura Herring from Red Herring Productions, which is what our stuff is under. She is awesome, and she believes in this project almost as more than Dakota and myself. She is a great person to have just standing with us, and she's really, really pushing for this, and she's great.
Nice.
At this. I'm almost at a point right now where, like, you always have doubts in your head of like what's going to work and what's not. But I'm at a point where it's like, with the team that I have, I feel like we can't fail, and it's going to happen. And I'm so excited about it.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's going to be cool, man. It's going to be really, really cool. I mean, it's reindeer killing people.
You needed that too, because how many different like animals, or we did like how many? Last year we had that slaughterhouse. See that one? We had the director on, and I love that movie. And
that movie's fun. It's just fun.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Carousel. Remember the carousel horse? That was
Carousel was fun. Carousel 2 was good too.
We had a ton of people on for the first one.
Oh, I gotta watch that. That's great.
That was a while ago. That movie's old now.
Yeah,
it's a fun flick, dude. I've always been a fan of like, just weird animals and inanimate objects.
Yeah,
killing people.
The whole carousel horse sex scene was a weird thing for me.
But good stuff, man.
Yeah, it is. It's a
good
weird
stuff.
One, but
I love that, dude. Yeah, no, I mean, the idea itself came from, like I said, it came from Dakota and I. We were bunking together when we were doing this slasher film called Butcher's Bluff, directed by William Instone, and we bunked, and he would always do this thing with his family where he would do like video Christmas cards where he would shoot his family doing something goofy. It was like a 3-minute video or so, and he would send them out to his family for the holidays. But it was COVID, and he couldn't see his family, and so I was like, "Well, I'll shoot something with you." And he's like, "I want to do like a horror thing." But my dad's like a pastor, and so Dakota's dad is a pastor, and he was like, and he doesn't really want to do a horror thing. And I was like, "Well, I'll do a horror one with you." And he was like, "Well, you got any ideas?" And I was like, "Well, let's do a fake movie trailer with, killer reindeer." And it was just that simple, that quick. And he was like, "Okay." And then we got together like that weekend, got the 2 girls that were also in the slasher film to come down, and we just shot it with, the 4 of us and a cameraman, and it was so funny, and it had such a good reaction, the fake trailer did, and people were just like, "You got to make that into a thing." And we were kind of hesitant for a good while. We weren't going to do it. And then eventually we were like, enough people have told us that this is what we should do. And so we were just like, all right. And dude, I mean,
it's almost like it's destiny kind of deal.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, the feedback's been just, I'm over the moon about it. It's been great.
I mean, I usually too, especially like short films, and you look on YouTube, I'll watch it and then I'll read the comments. I don't think I really saw any, anything.
Yeah, I mean, there were some people. I didn't read those comments all the way. I skimmed through them a little bit, but I mean, I've had some people like reviews. Don't read your reviews, by the way. But I've had some people say like it's whatever, and like I said, it stings for a second. You know what I mean? You're just like, dang. But then you got to think to yourself, like I said, I've heard so many people trash The Evil Dead. You know what I mean? And that's, to me, is the greatest film of all time. And it's like, it is what it is.
Have you ever gone to see the Evil Dead the musical?
Yes, I saw that. I actually still have the little chainsaw paper for it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was great. My brother and I went to
see it a couple times. Yeah, it's a really good time. Yeah, I highly recommend it, Tony, if you ever get a chance in your area.
They have a splash zone, so
yeah,
enjoy. It's like a Gwar. It's like a Gwar concert, you know.
It's a good time. Yeah, you could be covered in blood.
Fun.
Yeah. I agree. Evil Dead is. I have the Necronomicon wallet that you pull it out and it flips you off.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm an Evil Dead guy. Going back.
Oh, absolutely.
Myself.
And I tried my best to put a lot of that up on the housetop with some of the camera stuff. We did a lot of POV stuff, and even in the feature, we have some stuff that's written that's easily noticed homages to Evil Dead.
Just like going through, but it's
the greatest, dude. I love it so much.
That's cool. So we do have to wrap things up. So where can people go to follow you, even like your band or anything?
Check me out on you could do TikTok too, but it's Mikey Fish Horror, and same thing with my Instagram. I have Mikey Fish Horror, or my official page, it's Michael S. Fisher. And then also check out Dakota Millet. He goes by Coda Fett, KODA _FETT on Instagram. And then follow our movie Up on the Housetop with underscores in between. Up on the Housetop official with underscores in between everything. And then check out our short film on YouTube.
Yeah.
And my band is Virtue, by the way. Virtue.
Is that available on like Spotify and stuff?
Spotify, yeah, everything like that. We just put out a record called Committed to Steel, and it's super sick.
Nice. There you go. What would you compare it to?
A lot of people compare it to like Hatebreed mixed with like Pantera, but it's a little more. It's hard. It's like, I wouldn't say harder than both, but it's like more yelling than, deeper vocals than both.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tony, what are your vocals like?
Horrible.
Like, hey everybody, it's me, Tony.
My buddies was in a traveling metal band, like played out shows. Mm-hmm. Now him and his brother and another guy, they do more of it's like a studio band, but they used to play Destroy Everything all the time.
Absolutely.
And I watched the video because they had, the singer would put the microphone out. So the one time I took it, and they're like, "Oh, you sound like a 5-year-old child." I'm like, "It can't be that bad." It was bad, but it wasn't as bad as they kept saying it. So let's just say I'm never going to be a lead singer ever.
Yeah.
But YouTube, you can find me on YouTube. Tony Has 9 Fingers. I haven't done a video in forever just because I've been focusing more on TikTok. But if TikTok is gone, I'm going to have to venture back into my roots. So Tony Has 9 Fingers on YouTube. I do movie reviews, unboxings, anything movie related would be on there. Tony Has 9 Fingers on X, which I don't use, but it's in my shtick. Tony Has 9 Fingers on TikTok for maybe 7 more days. Hopefully not, but if so, it was a hell of a ride. Tony's Movies on Instagram, where I show off the movies behind me. And of course, here on the Wicked Horror Show, most Tuesdays, whether I'm here or someone is not here or whatever, whether we have an awesome guest or it's just horror movie talk, find us here. And that's about it. Kevin?
Just Stay Knuckle on Instagram. Besides doing this, I'm also part of That Strange Show. And I played the trailer, or not the trailer, the advertisement for Dead of Winter Horror Festival. Myself and Angel and the other Ryan and Mandy from That Strange Show will all be there February 22nd and 23rd in Worcester, Massachusetts at Mechanics Hall. So come hang out. It'll be a good time. And you get the guys came from the 508, and it's a film festival. You get to see a lot of cool stuff. I think it said in the ad is like 11 world premieres or something. It'll be a good time. It was awesome last year. It's the second year, and it's expanding already. So it's going to be awesome. There's a Toxic Avenger reunion. So
sick.
who doesn't love that?
Hell yeah. Also, can I shout out our 2 actresses in the film as well, Samantha Holland and Kayla Anderson. I think they go by both of those on their Instagrams. And then Laura Herring is our producer. Definitely get in touch with her. Dude, everyone was so good. So I just want to shout them out.
Yeah, it was definitely an easy 15-minute watch. It was like, and that's the one thing too. With short films, it's so hard to judge whether you want more or you hit it. Like this one, if it stayed as short, I would have been happy because I got what I needed. But I also had that
you could see how it could expand.
You're gonna be happy it's a feature. I promise you. You're gonna get more than you want, than you wanted, and more than you needed.
You know how many reindeers there are, Tony?
There's a lot.
A bunch.
This is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of those things where, like I said, like if it stayed as short, I wanted to see more. But if it stayed as short, then there's other ones where it's like I didn't get enough. I needed more. Like this one, it had like meat on the bones where it was like okay, but definitely once you mentioned a feature, I'm like I'm 100% into it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
There you go. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for watching, and then the people that are going to be listening on Thursday. I'm putting up the audio shows on Thursday now. I don't know why.
So quicker turnaround.
Yeah. So
as
this will be up
to like the weekly.
Yeah. So this will be up Thursday. And if you didn't watch it, then you can always go back and watch it
on YouTube.
You sons of bitches, go back and watch it. How about that? Anyways, thanks for watching / listening, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye. 1 second, it's ending.